WB Uncommonplace. This podcast is a variety podcast that houses numerous series to cover mental health, empowerment, podcast framework, and various intimate theories to get to know the hosts, along with occasional movies reviews and dives in pop culture with our event podcast episode. The Uncommonplace digs into bringing guests on that stories don't fit the mold and are very different. WV stands for the great state of West Virginia, and every quarter we cover something in West Virginia. Stacey and myself, JR, are your hosts, so please come along for this venture to our uncommon place.
Howdy, everybody. I had to catch myself. My microphone has one of these little furry things on it, and it almost touched my nose and I almost sneezed. So y'all have to excuse me there. Today's episode is going to be real quick and amazing. We have Emma Rainville with us. Now, Emma, what I need you to do for us is answer the nostalgic question of who is Emma? And from that point on, this is what I want you to do. I want to do something different this time. Give us a backdrop. Give us a story of where you started from and where we're going to go to, and then I'll ask you an amazing question after that. We can go question answer, and then there's a rocky part inside the show. And if you listen, you know what that rocky part and who I pay homage to. So we'll get there too.
Okay. All right. So I'm Emma Rainville, dubbed the Wizard of Ops by Perry Belcher, godfather of marketing. I've obviously I'm in operations, but I'm actually from Virginia. I come from Mechanicsville. So
Whoa, other side of Richmond. Okay.
um and so I've traveled a lot and tried to do everything but operations. I have a degree in, um, I'm a registered dietitian. I have a master's degree in nursing. I have a degree in social work. I'm all but dissertation forensic psychology. I want to do everything but operations, but operations is really what I was good at and what paid for all of that nonsense that I wasn't really that good at. And so now I'm almost grown up and I kind of just figured out that I was going to stay right here.
Wow, Mechanicsville. That's amazing. I'm originally from Lynchburg, Virginia. So
I know Lynchburg well.
yes, I jump on 364, 60 Petersburg, Farmville, all around there.
Yeah, yeah.
Richmond and then get out of Richmond. So that's good. You know, being from Virginia, I like that. That's nothing, nothing disrespectful to anyone else, but shout out to 804. Now, tell me about this journey to become the Wizard of Ops, and how did your career in operations evolve over time?
Sure. So again, I was just paying for school and I started off in restaurants, right? And so I very, very quickly ended up going to school full time, being the GM of a restaurant. Like I was really young in my early 20s as a GM of a five-star. And so I kind of ascended into, they were a chain, so I ascended into the operations role over a bunch of the chains because I just was able to make a lot of money for the restaurant. And just over time, that role morphed somehow into a director of operations role to the largest HVAC company in Texas.
Whoa.
And then I was promoted as COO of that same company. And we grew astronomically over the course of a couple of years. And then, oddly enough, like I just kind of fell and tripped and landed in direct response, which is where I live now. And so I was someone else's COO. I was making them very rich. And I learned a lot. And I'm very, very grateful for my time there because I learned a lot on their dime. I made a lot of mistakes on their dime. And then I decided to start my own business where I provided operations for multiple people because I'm also a chaos person. I love chaos. I don't like drama, but I sure do like some chaos. And I like to control that chaos and kind of make a symphony of money out of it. And so it just kind of every chip fell in the right places and I met the right people at the right times. And I said yes to the right things and no to the right things. And here I am all these years later, just like in awe of the journey.
Okay. Now let me ask you a question because something I want to know about scope.
Oh, yeah, I love talking about that.
What inspired you to write this?
So, Scope is a book that I wrote. It's an operational framework, and it's very specific to people with remote teams. It works really well for direct response marketers. It can really work for anybody, but you got to have a remote team. So I'm an operator. So you got to have a foundational framework and you got to have an operational framework. But all of the ones out there were missing two key things that I saw. One, you planned your business, which means you plan the next 10 years of your life, but there was no allocating for what you wanted for your life. Are you married? Do you want to have a good relationship? Kind of got a plan for that. Do you want to get married? Do you want to have kids? Do you have kids? Do you want to spend time with them? If you want to spend time with your kids, you got to think about that if you're going to 10x your business year over year. Because you ain't bringing Susie and Johnny to school every morning and having dinner with them every night if you're 10xing a business year over year over year, right? So that was the first thing that always bothered me. It was missing the personal component of what you wanted for your life. And then it was also missing the component of what if I'm in a different country? I got a guy in Mauritius, Africa. I can't go into his office and have one-on-one time and look him in the eye. And, so how do I allocate for that? And so over almost 5 years, I wrote that book. And it was, let me take a whole bunch of other people's stuff and implement it and move it and switch it and test some theories and then put some of my own stuff in it until I find something that really works. And we did it with every client until we had success over and over and over again without a lot of tweaks. And that is what led me to write Scope. And there's not a lot of nonsense in there. You'll see the book isn't crazy thick. I don't sell you on the theory. You take it or you leave it. I'm told that's a mistake, by the way, but I don't care. I don't want a whole bunch of fluff and nonsense to sell you on the thoughts. You're either a believer or you're not. And so read it and implement it or don't.
Hey, I like that. Now, one thing this show does, we have a shameless plug portion to it. Could you plug where people could meet and greet you across the internet and where they could get that book?
Sure, it's on Amazon. Emma Rainville is the author. Scope, SCOPE is the name. Scope actually stands for, it actually has a scope on it. Everybody thinks it's about shooting. But Scope stands for setting your vision, create processes, operational excellence, people development. Can't grow a business if you don't grow your people. And execution, because a plan written down really, really well is nothing but some toilet paper if you don't have an execution plan.
That is true. Now, you've done something that I'm interested in learning about. You've scaled businesses. What are some key lessons you learned from scaling businesses?
The first one is no two are the same,
Okay.
but your experience and your gut means something. So just because everybody tells you not to look doesn't mean turn your head just because that's easy. And I'll explain that for a minute. When you're scaling a business, more businesses go out of business because they scale themselves out of business than they go out of business because they weren't selling things. A lot of people don't know that. Your chances of actually having a successful business longer than 5 years are very slim. I'm sure most people know that. And when you're scaling, what happens is it costs you money to grow.
Totally.
And if you grow too fast, you won't be able to pay the things that you need to pay, particularly since most businesses don't really make their money till later. I don't know if that makes sense to you or not, but
Yes, it does.
and for online people, it's so much worse because we make money on like day 45. We have to pay for our traffic on day 3. So if I grow 10x over 10x, my entire profits plus another 10% or so are going to go towards my traffic costs. So I have to scale very intentfully and with the money that I have to pay for things like traffic so they don't get shut off.
See that right there? That's what I needed. That was the gem inside this episode thus far. That's what I need people to understand. Because me and my wife, we do an outdoor movie business and learn and I try to tell people like that's not something that everybody can jump into because of licensing and different things like that. And actually planning an event, usually, in between the times, someone thinks that you can just go out here and plan something in 60 or 90 days. No.
No. We'd plan events for our clients. I just spoke at AI Bot Summit, but I also ran it operationally. It was a 450 person event in Orlando, Florida. We planned it for 6 months, and that wasn't enough time.
Right. And like that's why I try to tell people when you're really getting into business, they should speak to a person like you that understands that type of stuff. Now, do me a favor for the entrepreneurs. When they're trying to scale their business, what are the biggest mistakes that entrepreneurs make in the very beginning? But let's put a twist on this, because that's what we do on here. I need to know where they make a mistake in the middle. When they think that they're getting even, I need the first and then in the middle. Because when people get in the middle,
Yep.
I've seen so many businesses get to that 4.5 year mark and it right at 5 years and fail, fall flat on their face. They're like, "Oh, we're
Because
starting."
they thought they had it.
Yeah, they thought they had it right. Exactly.
Thought they had it. Stop paying attention. So in the beginning, I think the biggest problem that I see people, the biggest issue I see people have is they made the mistake of not creating an operation or a foundational framework for their business. So everything is by the seat of their pants. And just for people who are listening that don't know, foundational framework is everything by which our company is built on. So if you don't have a foundation, you don't have a business that's going to last unless you go backwards and create that foundation. And a foundation is writing down the vision of your business. Where are we going to be in 10 years? What are we aiming towards? I can't make decisions if I don't know where I'm going. If you send me in the woods and tell me to go get somewhere, but you don't tell me where we're going, I'm going to wander around aimlessly. So I need to know where we're going. And so it's just a picture of what the business looks like 10 years from now. And then we're going to work backwards and we're going to have 3 and 5 year milestones to let me know that I'm on track. Where are we at 3 years to let me know I'm going to hit that 10, and where are we at 5 to let me know I'm going to hit that 5. And then you got to know what your 1 year commitments are. And notice I did not say goals, I said commitments. What are you committed to getting done this year? And you don't go home until it's done. You're committed to getting it done. And then the next part is absolute focus. What are you absolutely focused on? So you've got your written vision. Now, what are you absolutely focused on? No shiny objects here. This is a big issue for entrepreneurs, specifically visionary entrepreneurs, because every opportunity is money on the ground and oh no, and then they're throwing wrenches at what they haven't even built yet. So it's important to know what you're focused on and not allow anything to separate you from that focus. The next part is a values-driven future. What are the values by which you serve and hear that? What are the values by which you serve? If you're not serving, you don't have a real business. If you're not solving a problem, you don't have a real business. There has to be something out there. It can't be I'm in business to make money. It has to be I'm in business to serve visionary entrepreneurs to create operational excellence and profits in their business. That's my right. So, and then execute. Well, how do you execute things? What is it that you are committed to getting done, and how do you get it done? So you already know that you have your 1 year commitments. How does that break down? You create quarterly plans, you create systems and processes around project management, you create cadences around communications, you create cadences around updates and reporting so that you have KPIs and updates on your goals, your quarterly goals, so you know what your people are doing. And so if you don't have that usually, well, everything will fall apart in the first 3 years. And the middle one is they did way too much. It's good enough right now to get things moving, and then didn't spend enough time thinking about what they did that was good enough right now. And I'll give you a couple of quick examples. They set up merchant accounts that couldn't grow. And so they got merchant accounts that was for the very first product they ever put out. Now they put out 5 new products in the merchant accounts. You know what a merchant account is?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to make sure. Merchant accounts, for people who don't know, it's the way that we process money. You take credit cards. There's something called a merchant account. It's a middleman that tells you what you can and cannot sell. And you have to tell him what you're selling. And they give you a dollar amount in which you can take in every month. And every time you want to take in more, you have to get permission. Every time you want to sell something new, you have to get permission. You want to know what a lot of people don't do? They don't get permission. They just keep selling shit. Since every time they have a product, they just add it to the merchant accounts. Oh, and guess what? Now me and you are business partners. We decided to JV together. So let's take this product from a different freaking company that's not even in the company that got the merchant account. Let's just process money through there. And so it's not having foresight and thought through the strategy behind the growth, and then taking hey, it's good enough right now. Let's just go. Everybody just wants to go. Everybody just wants to make money. And then the merchant accounts get shut down and you get match listed and can't process money. Match listed means you get caught doing something you weren't supposed to do, like selling products that you weren't supposed to sell. or you have a bunch of refunds, or you have a bunch of chargebacks because your billing descriptors don't match your products anymore because your products changed and you didn't update them. And now you can't process money anymore. Or not paying attention to the right now, going and creating a relationship with a vendor, let's say a manufacturing fulfillment house where you're selling white label products. You're not thinking about product 2, product 3, product 4. Now you've taken all this time to create a relationship with a fulfillment house that can't fulfill your next product, and you can't get terms with the next new company. So all that time was wasted. And in the process of trying to move, you've got to spend a ton of money on new merchandise, and now you've got to pay it all up front because you don't have that relationship. And so here you are robbing Peter to pay Paul, and it all comes crashing down very quickly.
And that's so true. Everything you highlighted right there, that's the structure in the middle, how people fail. And I thank you for that, for putting that in the show. Now, question I have for you, I want to talk about your podcast real quick with Mr. Travis Gomez. How did this, how did y'all create this? How did this come about?
This is actually kind of funny, and it's the raw truth. I had a drinking problem when I first started Shockwave. And he's never had a drink in his life. He's the polar opposite of me. We would have beers at night, and just like I would have beers at night for both of us. And we would get on Zoom and we'd record it. And we just talk through problems of clients without ever naming clients. So we started a podcast, and it was called Shockwave Solutions. That's it. Just the name of our company. And so a couple of years went by, and I quit drinking, and we got a little bit more serious about our business, and we grew quite a bit. And it was just like, hey, let's our podcast has really helped people because it's really raw, it's really honest, it's not blow smoke up your ass, and it's actionable insights. Like anytime you listen to it, there's something anyone can take away and implement immediately in their business. It's not a sales tool, it's a fun thing that we do. And so, yeah, that we just decided to start special ops. I wanted to name it operating room, but unfortunately, I got overruled by our producer because it was just too far away from what people would think it is. So we started special ops. And so I co-host that with him, and we just action, 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 action. And then we decided to create a members area around it. We have a visionary vault that people can go and get every course I've ever created for free, and we never try and sell them anything. Just a lot of fun.
All right. And then another show, Big Chance Podcast.
So I just renamed that. We just renamed that to Trainwreck.
Okay.
It's myself and Perry Belcher, godfather of marketing. He's marketing, I'm operations, and we fight. That's why we decided to change the name to Trainwreck, because we just yell at each other the whole podcast. It's quite. I throw my shoes at him sometimes. He calls me awful names. But it's all in good fun. And again, it's just very, very raw information and true information. And it's marketing and ops fighting for their side of things. Marketing wants to sell and ops wants to make money. And those two things clash a lot. So,
Okay. Now, it's time for us to pay homage to a news magazine, 2020. Everybody knows the story. John Stossel, Elizabeth Vargas, and Diane Sawyer, they do these interviews that are very poignant. You know, they kind of get you in a mold. Then that mold gets fixed in place by the late, great Barbara Walters. And I don't know who's doing it now, but back when we were growing up, that's what they did. One thing that has always bothered me about that show is that if she had a good interview, we both know that she stayed on there until 11:05. If not, 11 o'clock, they cut her off. And one thing on Friday nights that never amazed me or always made me wonder to a degree is why do parents care about the news on Friday nights? Did you ever wonder that? Because think about it. TGI Friday used to come on, right? And we would watch it, you know, Boy Meets World, Step by Step, whatever we were watching. And then 11 o'clock will come, your mom and dad or whoever raised you, grandma, grandfather, whoever, or aunt or uncle, they would be like, go to bed. But it's Friday night. I want to finish watching 2020. I sat up with you past, you know, from 10 to 11. Let me sit until 11 to 12. So, Emma, are you ready for your 2020 questions?
sure.
Are you, you wake up in the morning.
I was never allowed to stay up past like 9 o'clock, by the way. So
That's
I
easy.
didn't have that same experience as you. TGI Friday, we read a book and we went to bed. I grew up in a Jewish household.
Oh,
That didn't,
snap.
yeah, that did not happen. Just to be clear. So I didn't have the same experience as you, but I'll take my question.
All right, so here you go. When you start your day, what is the first thing you do when you get out of bed?
Oh, what a wonderful question. So it changes every year. Actually, I change my morning routine every year. So I'm only 28 days in this year. So last year, I actually got up and I wrote 3 reasons I was grateful that I woke up.
Okay.
This year, the very first thing I do is I drink 12 ounces of water and I walk on the treadmill for 12 minutes.
Okay. And after you're done doing this, is there any other beverage like coffee, orange juice, or anything else that comes into any part of your day?
Yes, mushroom coffee. Mushroom coffee and water is all I drink.
Mushroom coffee.
Yeah. Lion's mane. It's a phenomenal coffee is wonderful. And I used to drink about 2.5 pots a day. And then my
Two and a
cortisol
half
levels,
pots.
yeah, for sure. My cortisol levels were crazy. And, I was probably 2 seconds from a massive heart attack. And also, I have ADHD and I was taking tons of Adderall. And I just learned about mushrooms, not psychedelic mushrooms,
Right.
like lion's mane. And I drink mushrooms in the morning, and then I have mushroom little like cracker things in the afternoon, and I take a bunch of supplements, and yeah.
So you're taking care of yourself there. So what is the one pollution you put in your body during the day? So I'm gonna give you an example with me, and I tell everybody this. Like sometimes it's me watching In the Heat of the Night or a Mama's Family. It's something that reminds me of a relative or somebody that's been around me. Because I get an hour-long lunch break for my job, so I got to take 30 minutes because I don't want to dedicate it to being on my phone, but I do want to see a screen. I want to watch something that I used to watch when I was younger. Now, knowing what I know about you now, TV is not something that's very influential, it sounds like. So I know TV is not your pollution. So what's the pollution you put in your body every day?
It's actually TV.
What?
It actually is. I probably would never admit that elsewhere, but yes. So at night, every night I walk on the treadmill as well. I play the Apple Watch games with some of my most horrible friends. They're my best friends, but my most horrible friends. And we all get 600 points and 10,000 steps, and we absolutely berate each other if we don't. So every night at the end of the day, right before I take my shower and go to bed, I get on my treadmill and I have to get to my 10,000 points. And I watch the most disgusting shows to make me feel really great about myself. I won't name them because it would just be awful, but imagine like the stuff that's on TLC, the drama reality
Whoa, I know
TV,
exactly what you're
and
talking about.
and I just feel so good about my life, about my husband, about my kids, about my job, about everything.
Okay, so
That's
at least we
that's
know.
my that's my toxicity.
Okay,
I enjoy other people's misery.
and notice your smile changed in this episode. You had a smile earlier, but the smile you have now. So that's a
A
John
little
Sparrow.
bit more evil, yeah.
Yeah, a little cunning. Now, there's a word that people mess up in life because everybody has a definition to it, and that word success.
Mm,
And this is something I ask everybody because my definition of success is just a lesson learned. I like the failure inside success because if you don't fail, you don't get a lesson learned, and then you don't, move around. So my success is let me fail at something.
mm.
Failure is success to me because I want to learn, and the next time I want to be more adequate in what I'm pursuing. So now it's your turn to tell me your definition of success and why success has propelled you or derailed you from having things that you deserve.
First of all, we don't deserve anything.
Okay, I'll give you that.
Okay. I agree with you about failure. I grew up with a phenomenal father who asked me almost every day what I failed at today and would high five me for trying. Because you'll never get anywhere in life if you're not comfortable with making decisions. And in order to make decisions, you have to be comfortable with failure. But I think that for me, success is uh, you you can't stay 70 degrees in a 100-degree room. And I've stolen that from Perry Belcher and Driven Mastermind.
Okay.
And so it's very important to me that I surround myself with people who are like minded in growth, but different thinking than me. I always want to feel like the beginner in the room. I've changed my circle quite often as I've grown so that I can grow into something more. I think that learning is for me spending time learning. If I feel like I've learned more than I've spent figuring. I don't know how to explain this. I feel like if I spend more time learning than I spend doing any other action, if I feel like a beginner in the scenarios that I put myself in, then I'm succeeding.
Okay. Now we're gonna dive into what you do for a living, and this is your Elizabeth Vargas and your Diane Sawyer. This is a real tight question. A small business comes to you, and they have scalable systems, but they don't have certain types of resources. How do you help them not overextend themselves?
It depends on the types of resources. Do they not have money or do they not have people? Like what every single person's going to be different, right? Like if you
Just say
don't
they
have,
don't have the people. They got the money, but don't have the people.
we're going to hire the people.
All right. And then once you have the people, how are you going to make it manageable for them?
Sure. So that's where scope comes in, right?
Okay. See?
But do you remember it's
Yes.
setting vision, core
Uh,
processes, operational excellence, people development, and execution. If you have all of those components, there's no resource outside of money that you can be void of that can't help you through.
Okay. Thank you for that one. And see, I did that one so that we could.
I didn't mean to do another plug, but it's factual.
No, but I mean, it works. Now, what's an operational challenge that you had to overcome before you had scope?
Sure. I built a company that was based on me, where I sold me and my services. So guess what happened pretty quickly? I hit a ceiling. I couldn't grow. And I literally had to untangle my own business. So a lot of what I talk about in the book, I personally not only experienced with clients, but experienced in my own business and struggled with myself. And so, yeah, that was a tough one. That was a really tough one, building myself right into a wall. And then being the one that was mind numbing, by the way. I was actually the person that took the bricks and laid them all around me and cemented myself in. And then I didn't realize it until it was way too late. So that was tough.
Okay. Okay.
Because then you have to let go of all ego knowing that you did it.
Right. And you have to humble yourself a lot,
You were
right?
you were wrong. You were completely wrong. So you have to absolutely let go of all ego, humble yourself, and then realize you just completely screwed this up. And now I got to knock down all these bricks.
Okay. Now, you have a glass and it has water in it. It's halfway full or it's halfway empty. Which one is it
Depends on the day.
today?
Today it's absolutely half full.
All right, half full. Okay.
Half full. I'm a very much you determine how we show up. I match energy. So that's why I try and match myself with people with good energy because it'll make me have good energy. So yeah,
So
glass is definitely half full today.
the half empty is only sometimes, and it's natural to have. You have to have it all, and that just makes you personable, in my opinion.
I'm transparent, and some days it's a woe is me. Not many, by the way. It's a lot less days that the glass is half full than it is. There's a lot less days the glass is half empty than there are glasses half full. We live a very, very, very blessed life, just where we live and what we get to do. So it's really hard to whine about having clean water, unlimited clean water,
Right.
resources everywhere. Like it's really hard to complain about
Right.
those
Because
things.
we could be in Flint, Michigan, right?
I forget Flint, Michigan. You could have been born anywhere in the world like Syria,
Right.
Gaza, right? So there are plenty of places you could be born where you would have no opportunities and no way out and trapped. Like there are people that are trapped. So we are blessed.
Yes, we are. Okay. Now, this is a hard question. Are you ready for your first Barbara Walters question?
Okay, Barbara Walters, let's get it.
Are you sure?
I'm sure.
All of your life, you've taken care of your hair, right?
My hair? No,
Yeah.
actually, no. This is all fake hair because I haven't. Someone else has. Pick something else. I don't even wash my own hair. I go and have someone else do it. Are you kidding me? I'm a businesswoman. Like I won't even go see her. She comes to my house.
I like that one. All right, now here's the real question. All right, for yourself, You handle a lot, a lot. When it's time to take time out for yourself, how do you do that?
I'm learning that now. That's
Whoa.
why I walk on the treadmill. That's why in the past 2 years, actually, if you look behind me there, you'll see that's a vision board. And most of it has to do with my husband and me and doing stuff for us and for me. Because for years I did it and that was stupid. I thought that I was doing all these things for myself, but I was not taking care of myself. And so I'm learning that. I'm a beginner still on that. And
Okay.
so, but how it looks is I just honor what my body feels like I need. If I need rest, I get rest. Try and get up and go to yoga at 6 a.m., even though I absolutely hate it. I try and eat in the sun at least once a day, one meal a day, eat outside. And, I just try to do something nice for myself, even if it's just 15 minutes a day.
Okay. If it came a point where someone came to you and they needed your mantra, what would your mantra be for um that person?
What would my mantra be? Huh. Wow, that's a great question. I I think just do it probably.
Okay.
Just take the first step, just do it.
And now if you could go back in time, you could talk to Emma at 18, 21, 24, and 32, since we know you're just 32.
Right.
What would you tell each of these Emmas? And what would you want to get from them at that moment?
You're not going to like my answer. I've been asked this a lot. I've actually put a lot of thought into this answer. I would tell them nothing. Every bit of my journey has led me exactly where I am right now. And I'm so in love with my husband and I'm so in love with my business. And I'm so thrilled with my staff and my friends and who I am. I would be afraid to fuck that up.
And see, that's what I like there. People that are honest about it. Because it's not, I wouldn't change anything. The way that my life is today is the way that it should be. It's
I
not
would, yeah, I would actually want every single bad thing that happened to happen because it happened for me
right.
to get me right here. What if I missed that and then missed this?
Right. And then I
I
would,
just,
like you said, I would miss my wife. I would miss the things that are where I'm supposed to be today while we're talking right now. So thank you for that
right.
one.
Maybe it would be something bigger or better. I wouldn't want to risk it. I feel really content with what I got right this minute.
All right. In your last Barbara Walters question,
Okay.
what's next?
Next is a lot of things, actually. I got another company launching
Whoa.
in March, Q2, end of Q1, beginning of Q2. I got another company launching. It's a big secret what it is. I have another book that I'm going to be writing. I'm hoping to get that out probably Q3 this year. And a really, really big one of what's next is and this is a silly one, but this is a bucket list thing for my husband. So it is for me taking my husband to Iceland for a month this year.
Oh, man. That's amazing.
Yes.
Now, as part of the show, I pay a little homage to you in this instance. It's in a testimony, and I want to give you this real quick. Thank you for being business oriented. Thank you for taking the time to explain things to people and to put a book out there in a way to help people scale things, figure out things, and also they can get your services. We'll put some stuff in the show notes so they can get in touch with you on that. Thank you for thinking about the entrepreneur. Thank you for allowing us to hear about your personal and some of your professional growth, because you have done that in this episode. So I want to thank you for all that.
Thank
And thank you
you.
for letting us know that you have a future vision. A lot of people have, like I said, you have processes and systems to everything. So, when you say something, you mean it. And when you say it, it's fortified by the actions that will go behind it and that have gone behind it. So that's a great thing right there. So your testimony is very simple: accountability. That's your super mutant power is accountability, responsibility. Anything that we can do with ability, you do it. So Emma, I don't have to say much to you, but because you're proud and you know who you are. But thank you for being on the show and being very exemplary in showing that and letting people know that there is a way to do things in a way that can help people and they don't have to fall by the wayside. So another good thing that the audience you can do is go listen to her 2 podcasts. If you're ready for your business, if you're ready to take control of the accountability and the responsibility, and if you want to have a peace of mind and have a life. She's out here. She's just stated in this interview that she's going to go have a life with her husband. They're going to Iceland for a month. Iceland. They could have went to Greenland. They could have went to, wherever, but they're going to Iceland. Don't know what she's going to do there.
I don't know what I'm going to do there.
But it's going to be an amazing experience. And then lastly, I need you to do this. I need you to end the show for me real quick. I need you to leave us with a mission statement and the one thing that you didn't say to your husband that you should have said to him earlier.
Oh, that is so hard. I don't think I've never had a thought that didn't come out of my mouth.
Whoa.
Blessing and a curse, by the way.
Right. Gift and a curse.
Yeah. I lie a lot and say I have Tourette's. It's not true. I just don't have a filter. So that one's tough because I've said every thought I've ever had right to him.
Okay.
My mission statement, my personal mission statement is to be of service to those who are willing and to help others be developed to their best and highest self.
All right. And on that note, I'm JR and she's Emma. And we're going to let that British lady do that little outro thing she does.
Please follow WV Uncommonplace on Instagram, Tumblr, Twitter, TikTok, where we have some great content, Facebook, LinkedIn. Hit up the merch store at oncommonplace.square.site. Join the email list from the website and rate, subscribe, and give feedback from your favorite podcatcher. And lastly, thanks for listening and tune into the next episode.